Alright, I came across this article, this speech that Tony Romo made. He's a quarterback, I believe, for the Dallas Cowboys. I just want to read his entire speech. It's a good speech, and I just want to quickly comment on it. It says, to say the first half of the season has been emotional would be a huge understatement. Getting hurt when you feel like you have the best team you've ever had was a soul-crushing moment for me. Then to learn that it wasn't 3 or 4 weeks, but 10 was another blow. Through it all, you have a tremendous amount of guilt on having let your teammates, fans, and organization down. After all, they're depending on you to bring them a championship. That's what quarterbacks are supposed to do. That's how we're judged. I love that. I still do. But then here you are sidelined without any real ability to help your teammates win on the field. That's when you're forced to come face to face with what's happening. Seasons are fleeting, games become more precious, chances for success diminish. Your potential successor has arrived. Your potential successor has arrived. Injured 2 years in a row, now in your mid-30s, the press is whispering. Everyone has doubts. You spent your career working to get here. Now we have to start all over. You almost feel like an outsider. Coaches are sympathetic, but they still have to coach, and they're not there. And you're not there. It's a dark place, probably the darkest it's ever been. You're sad and down and out, and you ask yourself, why did this have to happen? It's in this moment that you find out who you really are and what you're really about. You see, football is a meritocracy, and you aren't handed anything. You earn everything and every single day over and over again. You have to prove it. That's the way the NFL. That's the way that football works. A great example of this is Dak Prescott and what he's done. He's earned the right to be our quarterback. As hard as that is for me to say, he's earned that right. He's guided the team to an 8-1 record, and that's hard to do. If you think for a second that I don't want to be out there, then you probably never felt the pure ecstasy of competing and winning. That hasn't left me. In fact, it may burn more now than ever. It's not always easy to watch. I think anyone who's been in this position understands that. What is clear is that I was that kid once, stepping in and having to prove yourself. I remember the feeling like it was yesterday. It really is an incredible time in your life. If I remember one thing from back then, it's the people who helped me along when I was young. And if I can be that to Doc, I've tried to be, and I will be going forward. I think you all know that something magical is happening to our team. It's not going to allow this situation to negatively affect Doc or this football team by becoming a constant distraction. I think Doc knows that I have his back, and I think I know that he has mine. Ultimately, it's about the team. That's what we've preached our entire lives. I remember when I was a kid just starting out, wanting to be a part of something bigger than myself. For every high school kid out there and college player, there's greatness in being the kind of teammate who truly wants to be part of the team. Everyone wants to be the reason they're winning or losing. Every single one of us wants to be that person, but there are special moments that come from a shared commitment to play a role while doing it together. That's what you remember, not your stats or your prestige, but your relationships and achievement that you created through a group. It's hard to do, but there's great joy in that. All the while, your desire burns to be the best you've ever been. You can be both. I figure that out in this process. That's what separates sports from everything else. That's why we love it. That's why we trust it. That's why I still want to play and compete. Lastly, I just want to leave you with something I've learned in this process as well. I feel like we have two battles or two enemies going on. One with the man across from you, the second with the man inside of you. I think once you control the one inside of you, the one across from you doesn't really matter. I think that's what we're all trying to do. Alright, that's the end of his speech. I think it was a great speech, um, especially at the end. First he's talking about the importance of teamwork, and that's something that's really missing in a lot of the martial arts, because in a lot of the martial arts, especially combat sport, it's all focused on yourself and your own individual achievements. Like if you're a boxer, then it's just all about you. If you're a wrestler, it's just all about you. If you're a cage fighter, it's just all about you. But there's no teamwork involved, and when it's all about you, it's just developing this really strong ego, and it's not really helpful for your individual spiritual growth. When you're talking about teamwork, Now it's not just all about you, but it's about other people as well. So when you think about like somebody like a Michael Jordan, he can't really be successful without his teammates. Like he needs his teammates to perform and do well in order for them to win their championship. So basketball is an example of a sport, as well as football, where teamwork is required. One person is just not good enough. So you come from the individual to a team, and then eventually you come from a team to the larger whole, as people. So you come from yourself to maybe respecting and getting along with people of your own race. And then when you can do that, then you start reaching out to other races, and then you have just respect for all human beings. But it's supposed to be larger than yourself. You're supposed to come to the point where in the martial arts your ego is supposed to dissolve, and you're supposed to be connected to the larger whole and develop love, and then eventually compassion. So rather than just loving yourself, you love other people, and then you love the entire world. So it's supposed to keep building. And, part of working within a team is learning to go beyond just yourself. So that's one important lesson. The next one is, um, he's talking about the battles between two enemies. The one from across from you, which is your competitor, and then the one inside of you. The one inside of you, he's pretty much directing to the ego. The ego inside of you. If you could control it, if you could, I think once you control the one inside of you, once you control your own ego, then the one across from you doesn't matter anymore. So, as far as my own life is concerned, the one across from me may be, the trolls or the haters out there that just don't like me. Well, if I control my own ego, which is within me, then the trolls and the haters, it doesn't matter anymore. So ultimately it is that, controlling your own ego within. And if you could control your own ego and pretty much not just eliminate it, but just realize that it just doesn't exist, then there's nobody to compete with, because you're not separated from anybody. There's no separation. So there's a point where you go beyond competition, and he is coming to a point where he's learning to humble himself. He's learning to develop spirituality through his experiences. Because for him to be sidelined and not be able to play, it's almost like an early death. But then you're still alive, but then you're dead at the same time. And then you get to see, the ego dying in front of your eyes. And then you see that that's not what life was all about to begin with. Life is much greater than just your own ego. And then you learn to transcend that and then grow from that. And then you head towards greater peace, and you become less competitive. You become more loving, more compassionate. So, this is a big time athlete, very successful quarterback, and, for him to make that speech, you could see a lot of teachings from Eastern philosophy that is represented within that speech. He may not know anything about Eastern philosophy. He may not know about Buddha's teachings or Taoism or anything like that, or the Tao Te Ching. But what he's talking about is a growth from within that typically you usually never find within, football or combat sports. They're just so engulfed in this competitiveness and this aggression and this will to win that they lose this inner growth that is so important in the martial arts. But this speech is a good example of that, and showing how somebody, could actually come and fall upon those teachings and grow from it. And I think that's something that we all could learn from. I mean, everything he's talking about is everything all competitors will go through. Michael Jordan, when he has to leave the NBA, every single cage fighter, you know, they're gonna eventually have to retire and stop fighting. Every single boxer, every single wrestler, every single athlete. Usain Bolt, you know, he's gonna get older. You know, he's gonna stop running. Michael Phelps, he's gonna stop swimming. You're gonna have to come to terms with this part, you know, of letting go of this ego, letting go of this pride, um, and to stop thinking about yourself only, but to think about other people and think about other ways that you could contribute, you know, to this world, you know, to the people in a positive way, um, and to stop being competitive, but to finally work together with people in order to celebrate their successes. And it's not just about you, you know. It's a very important lesson, and I hope some people get something out of that.